Hi, this is OJ from What You Want, and thank you for tuning in to our Time Talk videos. If you like our videos, you can view them on our YouTube channel, What You Want Inc. And don't forget to subscribe so you can receive updates on our newest and most recently posted watch videos. Also, this watch, as well as our entire inventory of watches, can be viewed on our website, whatyouwant.com. So I'm here today with an oldie but a goodie and absolutely one of my favorite Panerais ever made. This is the original La Bamba. La Bamba, also known as the tuna can. This is the PAM 87 1,000-meter submersible from Panerai. This is Panerai's version of Rolex's Sea Dweller, complete with its own helium release valve on the side of the case. This is a 1,000-meter diver's watch. And what's cool about this watch is it features that dark blue dial. Some interesting history about the 1,000-meter submersible. So the 1,000-meter submersible was originally released for the C series by Panerai, debuting with the PAM 64. That watch was only made for 1 year, and it was only made in 500 individually numbered pieces. That watch featured the black dial and had a contrasting silver seconds subdial at 9 o'clock. That is absolutely an amazing watch and a highly collectible watch, as is the PAM 87. So as a special edition, that PAM 64 was only made for 1 year. And when they stopped at the end of that year for the D series, they released the PAM 87, which was essentially the same watch, but featured a blue dial rather than a black dial. The PAM 87 was also made in 500 pieces for the D series and also 500 pieces for the E series. Interestingly now, in the F series, they took the PAM 87 and they started with a much darker dial. So the PAM 87 F, G, and H series all have a distinctively darker blue dial, and an easy way to tell the difference between the older D and E series versus the F, G, and H series is that the later series have the darker dial along with the chrome outline around our markers. It's a very subtle difference, but I think it makes a big difference and makes for a much cleaner and crisper look. Interestingly, this happens to be an H series, which was the very last year the PAM 87 was made. And as an H series, this watch was only made in 200 individually numbered pieces. So for the H series, this was 200 pieces. If I'm not mistaken, the G series was 300 pieces. And if I'm not mistaken, the F series was also 500 pieces. But all told, between the D, the E, the F, the G, and the H series, we're talking about 500, 1,000, 1,500, probably 2,000 watches made over the course of 5 years. And again, what I love about this watch is the fact that this watch is so distinctively thicker and fatter and top-heavy than the traditional submersible. It's got more of a donut-designed bezel, and that donut is fat and wide, and so the effect that it gives is a more narrower and smaller dial in terms of viewing. The PAM 87, in all of its versions, D, E, F, G, and H, all feature a tritium dial, as indicated by the T Swiss-made T stamping on the bottom of the dial. Again, those F, G, and H series, though, do feature that darker blue dial. And what is very apparent is that over the years, we have seen that the F, G, and the H series have patinaed much better. It is sort of battered around on the forums that there was a defect with the helium release valve in the D and the E and some of the F series, and as a result it allowed moisture into the case, which caused a premature aging and dirtying of the tritium material on the dial. Also, it caused sort of dishwater spots to appear as blemishes on the chrome outlines of the hour and the minute hands. And what we see is in the G and the H series, they have all but eliminated that premature aging and that dirtying of the tritium luminous material. This particular watch is an outstanding example. You can see that the tritium is still very crisp very yellowish green. If it was super luminova, it'd be more of a green, but as a tritium, it's going to retain a more yellow character. And again, by looking at this watch in our pictures and in this video, you can see that there's definitely a crispness to that tritium, and you do not quite see that dirtying or aging of the tritium like you see in some of the older models. And to me, that's what makes this watch such a great specimen. Is, really the patina is just outstanding. You don't see any of those dishwater spots on the hands, which you kind of hold the watch at an angle to see, and that's where you can really start seeing sort of that oxidizing on the hands. And again, this is just one of those prime examples. Not only that, but as the last year that it was made as an H series, it was only made in 200 pieces, which is pretty cool. This particular watch, like I said, was made in 200 pieces, and the bezel is still really, really healthy. Only unidirectional, of course. One of the issues with the bezels on the submersibles when they were the 5-click, the 1 click for every 5 minutes, was that the nylon washer would get stripped, but that is not the case with these 1,000-meter submersibles. It's a click for every minute, 60 clicks for full rotation. And of course, this watch is 44 millimeter, but definitely with its extra thickness, again, that's why they call it La Bamba or the tuna can. It has a much more top-heavy feel. When you're wearing this watch, you're wearing it. So I'm glad that I was able to spend some time sharing with you one of my favorite watches. And as always, if you like our videos, make sure to subscribe to our videos on our YouTube channel, Watch You Want Inc., as well as feel free to check out this watch and all of the watches in our inventory on our website, watchyouwant.com. As always, wear your watches in the best of health, and thank you for your time. Have a great day.